So I think I've set the context around water and some of the challenges, and I'm really excited to have all three of you here to talk about some of the very creative solutions that you've got to the challenges around water. I've had the beautiful opportunity of talking to all three of you prior to this, so have some understanding of what you do. But for our lovely audience who perhaps have heard the names of your organizations for the first time, perhaps can we give them a little insight? Arun, do you mind starting by telling us a little bit more about Earthfokus and the work that you do?
Yes. So Earthfokus, we help to reduce buildings' water consumption through, we manufacture these aerators, so that they can be fitted into your existing tap. A normal tap normally gives you around 15 liters per minute, and with our fixtures, it's cut down to 1.2 liters. So that's like 90% more than 90% savings right there. So we've had buildings save millions of liters of water over the course of time. So that's what we do. So that's Earthfokus.
I love that you can get it so short and snappy. Sometimes we hear solutions and we're like, that's interesting, but I have no idea what that means. So it's beautiful to hear it's a fixture that goes on existing taps. We all know what a tap is, and it helps us to reduce water. Barbara, can you tell us a little bit more about Hydraloop and the work that you're doing?
I'd love to. At Hydraloop, we actually design and produce grey water recycling systems, because we believe that every home and every building has its own water source. That is the lightly contaminated water from your shower and your bath, but it could also come from your laundry or your air conditioning. At Hydraloop, we collect that water in the building itself, we clean it, and then you can use it again. So not for drinking, but for anything that you do not need drinking water quality for, like flushing your toilet, working in your garden, cleaning stuff, and also to do your laundry. And with Hydraloop, families, but also commercial buildings can save 25 to 45% on their tap water consumption. And of course, they make a lot less wastewater too.
When you say grey water, Barbara, I'm going to ask the dumb question. What do we mean by grey water?
Well, grey water is the lightly used, the lightly contaminated water from your shower or your bath or your laundry. So we don't work with kitchen water. That's a little bit too greasy. And we wouldn't, of course, do something with other drinking water. But if you look at what the kind of water usage that you have over a day in your home or in a sports club or in a hotel, most of it comes from showers and baths. Yeah. And what's new for Hydraloop is we're now also taking condensation water, for example, from air conditioning or tumble dryers or even heat pumps.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for the clarification, because I will ask the stupid questions, people. I will, because I'm not going to assume everybody knows. Ilan, can you tell us a little bit about Everdye and the work that you do?
Yeah. So for us at Everdye, what we're doing is that we're developing a new dyeing process for the textile industry. Basically, we're developing colors, so pigments that are biosourced, coming from biomass and minerals. And all of this, we are using it in existing infrastructures. But for the existing dyeing mills, what we are allowing them is to dye faster with a lot less energy, because today, just to dye a fabric, you basically need to boil it for 10 hours in order to give a bit of color to all of our clothes. And so what we're allowing is to do it at room temperature in 1 hour, and with all of the wastewater that is much more clean, which is quite important, because when we talk about water pollution, well, textile dyeing treatments account for around 20% of world water pollution. So it's one of the big, if not the biggest, polluter of water, and we're trying to have it a bit better.
Ilan, as you were speaking, you kind of alluded to some additional benefits beyond just re-cleaning the water with the dyeing process. Can you talk to us about some of the additional water benefits that you get with the Everdye solution over traditional dyeing?
And the water benefits?
Yeah, what additional benefits? So we can kind of think, well, the water's cleaner, but you mentioned, in terms of water pollution and heat, what other benefits do people get
The thing is that when you talk about the water in terms of in the dyeing process, you'll be using a lot of water along the way. Because just to dye a fabric, you are first going to bleach it, then you are going to rinse it 4 times, then you are going to dye it, then rinse it 4 times and soap it, and then you are going to put softeners, and then you are going to rinse it again. So you're using a lot of water along the way. What we're trying to do is also to minimize this amount of rinsing, of reusing. So we're trying to minimize all of those steps so that we use less water and the water is cleaner and more easily filterable, because when you're just dyeing something, it's not just the color that you're putting inside of the dye bath. You're putting like 4 additives, you're putting a ton of salts, and so all of this after is very difficult to treat. We've basically created a pigment that encompasses all of those in the same pigment so that you don't need all of those additives, and that it's, yeah, well, just easier to filtrate and after to reuse the water.
I love that. Barbara, you mentioned a few additional benefits of like reusing grey water. Can you tell us a little bit more? Because I think we think, oh, if it's just to do with water, it's to do with recycling the water. But are there additional benefits that people can get, maybe cost savings or something like that as well?
Well, definitely. If you use 45% less water in your home, your water bill is going down as well. Same goes if you're living in a climate that has a cooler winter climate, you're also going to be saving energy. But apart from that, as a user, you're definitely lowering your carbon footprint. And by putting a Hydraloop system in your home, you're probably going to really increase the value of your property, of the building. And that goes for commercial buildings as well. If you look at it on a slightly bigger scale, there's even more benefits, because imagine when we build new neighborhoods that all have a little bit of additional piping and a grey water recycling system, that means you need way less infrastructure. And of course, you're also going to save a ton of energy, because you don't have to pump that water all around to a wastewater facility to get it cleaned up again. So there's benefits on different levels, but if you look at it from the perspective of a homeowner or somebody that's using Hydraloop water, for example, in a sports club, I would say low maintenance, super easy to use, no filters and chemicals, etc., and full comfort, because you're saving the water while you're taking a shower.
Yeah. I'm loving how many layers of benefit that there are to solutions. Arun, in India, it's a particular environment that you're working in terms of how water is used and transported, which is quite different to how we might experience it in other parts of the world. Can you share a little more about how Hydraloop is helping? Earthfokus is helping.
So back in 2019, we had a severe water scarcity. It was so bad that Leonardo DiCaprio actually posted it on Instagram. And back then, there was this one client who implemented our products throughout their facilities, and they actually required almost close to 100 tankers a day to fulfill their water requirement in Chennai city. So I'm from Chennai. After implementing our products, it was cut down to 10 tankers.
Wow.
So imagine the carbon footprint of 90 tankers, and those tankers, they travel up and down 40 kilometers every day. The diesel charges, the pumping charges, the energy charges, everything goes down significantly. So that's the impact that's beyond water, right? There's a lot of other benefits as well. As Barbara said, the energy consumption significantly goes down. Imagine the pumping cost, that goes down. Let's go even deeper. The maintenance cost, the durability of the pump increases. Similarly, when it comes to the sewage treatment plant, imagine that client ended up saving more than like 30 to 35 million liters of water. Imagine a sewage treatment plant processing 35 million liters of less water. And not just the energy, but also the chemicals that you put inside the sewage treatment plant goes down. And there was a huge dip in their entire carbon footprint. So that's the result a simple product could create. And that's that's actually a case study for us.
And we're talking about an attachment to a tap.
That's it.
Okay, I just needed to check, because those are some big, huge benefits. Barbara, do you have some examples of some of the results that some of your clients have got using Hydraloop?
Oh, absolutely. We have case studies from all around the world, because we're actually active worldwide with our partner network. So wherever you live or work, you can just contact your local Hydraloop partner. Well, what we see is that average families can easily save 75,000 liters of water per year. But if you scale that up to bigger buildings, for example, we have a student flat in Belgium hooked up to a Hydraloop cascade. 350 students live there. And they, just by showering and reusing the water for their toilets, save up to 100,000 liters a month. Well, you can imagine that that really adds up, especially if you take it bigger scale.
Very exciting examples of how things are being implemented. Ilan, can you tell us more about how Everdye is being implemented as well? Because when I think colors, there's a lot of colors of the rainbow to replicate in a much more environmentally friendly way.
So for the moment, we're not available at large scale. We're still in the R&D phase, and in fact, we're ongoing industrialization. Yesterday, we were in the factory trying to implement our technology in at our partners' facilities. So in fact, you have a lot of color, but the good thing is that you're mixing them. So you don't, like, people are not producing 1,000 colors, just like every color that are here. What we're doing is that we need to develop 5, 6, 7, 8 colors, and then by mixing them and by changing things, something like when you have when you have a black like this, you are going to put a lot of pigment on it. And when you have a blue that is lighter, you are going to put a lot less. So what you need is to develop 6, 7 good colors that you can mix and that you can really master in order to have a wide variety and all of the colors that I can see here in the audience.
So we're close. What you're telling me is it's not as, you don't need to have 1 million colors. You have a handful of colors that create millions of colors.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So on a practical level, right now we need really bold solutions. And we need solutions that can hit the ground really quickly. It's all well and good to say we've got all of these interesting things that we can do, but they're complex to implement, and we have to go back and retrofit, and it's going to be really expensive. Is it, Arun?
No, it's not. So our product, if you can fit a light bulb, installing our product is a cakewalk. So it takes less than a minute to install the product, and when it comes to cost, right, it costs less than a French espresso, a coffee. So it's very affordable. And a very interesting thing is the return on investment, where a lot of companies, organizations are looking for the return on investment perspective as well, right? We've had clients where they got their return on investment within a month's time.
Wow.
So they were actually quite surprised, because by the time we got the money from the client, they ended up making profit. So that we have an actual case study in India, where this had happened. So implementation is like super easy, and you don't even need just a YouTube video could help you install the product. That's all.
So a child could install it, is what you're telling me?
Yes.
Like a 5-year-old?
Let's be on the safer side and say 6.
Let's just make them 6, and then they'll be able to do it. Barbara, what about you? How easy is it to install Hydraloop? Are we talking big, expensive, rip out the back of my garden implementations?
Oh, absolutely not.
Good, because I like
I'm
my
not
garden.
going to let my 6-year-old do it, though. You are going to need a experienced installer, but any plumber that knows how to fix your water lines will be able to help you with the setup of a Hydraloop system. Now, one of the things that we are especially proud of when it comes to that scalability that you're talking about is that the United Nations have actually awarded Hydraloop with a global WIPO award. When I heard it the first time, I didn't exactly know what WIPO stands for, but the United Nations have all these different organizations. One of them is completely focused on intellectual property. And they're looking at solutions, identifying them around the world, and saying technical solutions, clean tech, that have a massive impact on society with their IP, with their intellectual property, they get an award like that. When we heard that the United Nations actually say this is the massive impact that Hydraloop is going to have on the world, that was very humbling, but at the same time, so motivating. So we're ready to take it on worldwide.
Congratulations.
Thank
It's
you.
a huge stamp of approval. Ilan, when we talk companies and corporates and changing their processes, we then start thinking, is this potentially scalable? Is it going to mean implementing, having to buy new equipment? How easy is it for, let's say, a clothing manufacturer to go from using a traditional dyeing process to using EverDye?
Well, basically, it's instant. What we are developing is not a whole new machine that will cost around €1,000,000 euros. What we're developing is just pigment that fits in existing infrastructures. And the very good thing also is that it's one of those solutions where sustainability and price are very highly connected. Because if we talk about the sustainability of our subject here, the textile industry is one of the most polluting. But out of this, the dyeing process is the most impactful part, representing half of the carbon emissions, for instance, and also 30% of the price. What we are doing is that we're cutting energy usage by 15. So as we're cutting energy usage by 15, we're also cutting all of these energy costs by 15. And so it's easy to deploy as it fully fits in existing infrastructures, and it's also easy to run. And that's the very good thing. Like, if you wanna deploy it, once we're available at large scale, obviously, but once you want to deploy it, it will be very easy. We just have to send what we're doing, and then after, you can use it. It's plug and play.
I love the idea of a plug and play, and to have something that's plug and play, that's environmentally friendly, and saving cost. I mean, it just sounds like an incredible win. You need to get this out the door, like yesterday.
Soon.
So we need big, far-reaching solutions. We can't, it's all well and good to say we've got a solution, but we need solutions that can impact individuals. We need solutions that can be used by governments. We need solutions that can be used by companies, that can actually have an incredible impact across the board. Arun, when it comes to Earthfokus, is it something that can be applied? The home use scenario, I can get it immediately. I buy them, I put them on my faucets. But that's just me as an individual making an impact. Bigger impacts come when we can have governments deploying or large-scale organizations using your product. Is that a possibility? Could it go that far?
Absolutely. So we target all three segments, the residential, the companies, and the governments as well. Residential is not small. Like a single home in India could actually save somewhere close to 200,000 liters a year. And when you actually take a home of, like, let's say a community of 150 homes, they're going to save more than 35 million liters of water a year. And when it comes to companies, yes, a lot of companies are focusing towards sustainability, but sometimes they just overthink and they don't look at very simple solutions that can just, create a massive difference. But yes, with companies, we have been working with a lot of MNCs, and we have different products for different companies. Like, I can't go and put a very efficient water saver in a factory where the worker actually gets his hand dirty, right? So for that, we have the less efficient model, but still efficient, to make sure that he has his he washes, he's comfortable, and yet he saves water as well. And with governments, I really believe that governments should implement these in their existing government buildings all over the world and try to promote this. And so yes, our product actually fits all three categories, and the scalability is like truly sky's the limit. Like, anywhere you go, any commercial space you go, you need a tap to wash your hands, right? And our goal is to make sure that to install, our goal in the next, at least in the next 10 years, to make sure that every product or every tap that's sold need to have our product inside. So yeah.
Small goals, just teeny tiny little goals. It sounds like a laptop in every home. It's that kind of goal.
No, it's just that, see, we've been active for the last 2 years, and we've already saved more than 5 billion liters of water, right? Our goal in 2025 is to save the same 5 billion liters of water every day. And that is actually that's very much possible. So it's just that, we have to roll it out, and this has to be implemented in a large scale.
And large scale means not just homes, it means apartment
Everywhere.
buildings, it means public bathrooms,
Exactly.
It means all offices.
Exactly.
Ilan, when it comes to looking at impact beyond the commercial environment, do you think that there's a role of governments that might support the progression of Everdye being a solution where companies will then almost be forced in some ways to start looking at more efficient solutions like yours?
And those laws are also coming. I mean, in France, we've had, in the past 10 years, in the food business, in the food industry, there was a law where you had like a grade from A to E for everything that you're buying, saying if it's A, it's mostly better, and if it's E, it's not that good, and it's red. And those laws are also coming in the textile industry. So if practices are not that good, you will see it in the end product. And so in the end, as a consumer, you don't want to arrive in a store where all of the T-shirts are with a big E red. I mean, that wouldn't make you feel good about buying something. So, but with these laws that are arriving, they made a change in the food industry, and they will make a change also in the textile industry to have better practices, to have better processes. But it's going to also take time because all of those new technologies need to scale, need to get to the market and to be highly available at large scale. Also, not only in Europe, but also in the manufacturing countries. So in India, in China, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, all of those countries, we need to get there to improve the processes to be able to, So I think that the law, can have an impact.
Well, I mean, I think anybody who's in the room who is in this process, they're ahead of the curve, having met you. Barbara, I mean, we spoke a lot about the implementation of Hydraloop at an individual level. Presumably, it's also possible to have wider scale impacts for organizations and councils and that sort of space.
Absolutely. What we say is whenever there's shower water, bath water, or laundry water, we can work with that. And that could be in houses of prayers, that could be in airports, that could be in government buildings, in hotels, in sports facilities, in student housing, the list goes on and on. But what you just said about laws, that got me thinking. We see that water scarcity is becoming an issue on the political agenda in so many countries now. And you can see that governments are thinking and about, for example, rewriting the building codes. So whenever you are gonna build a new home or a new commercial building, you will at that point have to have some kind of water-friendly solution. And that could be Arun's, or that could be a Hydraloop, or it could be rainwater harvesting. There are so many solutions out there. The best part is that you can combine them, and then the results get spectacular. But that's, of course, what we're all aiming for. And in our case, that is that governments make it mandatory that whenever you build a new building, that it's recycle ready. It's only a couple of meters of extra piping, but it will make such a difference in the long run. Now, before every new building will be built recycle ready, we also have a retrofit solution, which is a tiny little Hydraloop. We call it the Hydraloop concealed, and it basically vanishes behind your bathroom wall or your toilet wall. And it takes the shower water, cleans it, and then you can recycle it again without the extra piping. That one's gonna be a big game changer also in all those urban apartments around the world, because we see many, many more people flocking to cities every day.
Yeah, being able to retrofit is absolutely critical. We are getting low on time. I've got 2 questions, and I am going to squeeze them in. I'm going to make it work. So this is a big one, very important. We hear of this thing called the green tax. It's a great solution, but it's going to cost you more. It's just going to be a lot more expensive to do things that are right for the planet. Is this true of your solutions? I've got to ask the question. I'm going to start with you, Ilan. Is it more expensive to introduce Everdye than to just go the traditional route?
Yeah, I've talked a bit about it just before. So the thing is that if we take a look at a dyeing process, in Europe, 75% of the costs come from energy and manpower. We're allowing mills to dye with 15 times less energy and 5 times faster. So we're cutting all of those operational costs. And of course, pigment to pigment, we will be more expensive. I mean, there's no way that in 2 years we can build something that is just pigment to pigment, less expensive. It's just not possible. But as we're looking at the problem as a whole, there is the possibility at large scale to be more interesting than those solutions, because this part is that the sustainability is very linked to the price.
Brilliant. So even though the pigment might be more expensive, actually the energy saving potentially either counterbalances that or actually results in a net saving for organizations.
Yeah.
Barbara, Hydraloop, more expensive than, what are we talking kind of cost-wise? Is it going to hurt my pocket?
Well, do you want a 5-second or a 15-second or a 30-second answer?
We're going with 15.
Okay.
I'm going to go for the middle one.
Don't you worry. If you buy or build a new home and you're going to put a Hydraloop in for a few $1,000 or euros, and you look at the total of building costs, of course it won't impact the whole building sum, and it will vanish in your mortgage. And if you're looking at a retrofit solution, same goes. But I think the essential answer is by using water twice and giving it that extra loop in the building, you're saving so much on what Arun and me were really passionately talking about when it comes to societal impact. Of course it's not gonna cost more, it's gonna cost you way less for the planet, for your wallet. By using water twice, we really see the true value of water, and it is our blue gold.
Fantastic. Arun, how expensive? Let's talk money.
So for a home, we jumbled all our products into one single home kit, for the showers, for the kitchen, for the restrooms and everything. That should come less than 10 euros.
Get out.
Seriously. And for commercial spaces, let's say they have 150 taps or something, the maximum could be somewhere close to 1,000 euros. And these products are actually made using metal, so they are premium. And so that's it. And the return on investment, again, in India, it's almost a month over here. You guys should just get it overnight. Okay, I'm just kidding. It's maximum would take a week. So yeah, it's super easy to buy it and install it, and it won't hurt your pocket.
Fantastic. Well, it's 3 fabulous solutions. I didn't get my third question in, but I'm going to answer it on their behalf. So Ilan and Arun, you will be able to find, they both got booths. Booth number, Arun?
We're on the city section.
You need your microphone to your mouth.
So we're in the city section, so we don't have, you can spot me, come on.
Okay, city section. Ilan, where are you?
Ocean and water section.
Ocean and water section, if you'd like to find out more. Barbara does not have a booth, but she is around. So if you come and grab her at the end of this, she'll be able to have a coffee with her over the course of the next few days. It's Arun, Barbara, and Ilan. Please give them an incredible warm round of applause. Thank you.